The Australian Strategic Policy Institute has grown enormously from its beginning as a largely defence-focused and defence policy institute into a well-recognised, globally appreciated national security think tank. So over the next year, what we're looking to do, we've had a change of leadership come in. Peter Jennings had been Executive Director for 10 years. And what we think we need to do now is really consolidate the terrific gains that he made for ASPI reputationally and in terms of its project and its program of work. And we need to think about the world that we live in now and how at ASPI we can become more adaptive, more responsive, more resilient, I guess more coherent, and leverage the very deep pockets of expertise that we have in specific areas, and kind of elevate and communicate that across what is a bigger national security community than existed when ASPI was first stood up. So very much about modernising, increasing coherence, being very responsive to government and the national security issues that the country faces, but resting that very firmly on the foundation and the legacy that ASPI has built over a couple of decades now, of being high quality research, data driven, evidence-based policy institute. There are so many pressing issues today. The landscape of threat is complex, it's complicated, it's multifaceted, it's multi-sectoral. So we used to really talk about national security as being a military and a defence domain, but now it's economic, it's strategic, it's political, it's informational. We just talked today, this morning on the panel on social media platforms. One of the greatest threats to democracy and to our societies as we know them and to the freedoms with which we operate and that we take for granted is the misuse, the disuse, the malicious use of information by actors at individual, at state and at state-sponsored level. So that's a really interesting challenge that again is well beyond a typical or a traditional defence domain approach to national security. At the same time, we have a really complex and competing landscape again where military escalation, where there's a higher likelihood of actual conflict in our region. There is actual conflict in the world, the likes of which we thought we would never see again. So we are really looking at urgent, pressing issues that span the entire spectrum from the information domain and the political to that high-end military competition and conflict. It's all happening, and that's why we really need to have that agility and that ability to deal with complexity really into our work into the future. So international events absolutely impact the way that the Australian Strategic Policy Institute operates. We are a national security think tank, so we exist to make sure that there is a contestation of ideas, that we're informing policy, that we are providing diversity of perspectives, diversity of opinion. That diversity in the world is growing. We are seeing competing visions for the exercise of power, competing visions for the shape and the nature and the character of the global system. For ASPI, we have focused very much and we have deep expertise on China and some of the issues that China has presented, particularly in and around the political and information warfare and use of the information domain. We've had to be very careful for our workers because that comes, the honesty and the reporting and putting a lot of that information out there comes with serious risk, and that is to the individuals who are working on that, and it is to us as an institution. So we are constantly battling disinformation. We are constantly battling narratives that frame our work really negatively because of the focus that we have had and the exposing that we have undertaken of really important trends that are manifesting as threats to our national security and our democracy. So we're constantly adapting to real, physical, but informational, political threats all the time. Events like AusSec 2022 convene the very urgent and important conversations that need to happen. It's not just a government interagency collaboration issue, it is the diverse communities that are actually part of national security today. So the fact that we have got business, that we have got civil society, that we have got government in various forms here today, having the conversations that we need to have about how we work together is one of the most important functions that a conference and a summit can play. So what we're doing here today and what we've talked about here today that I think is really interesting and really important is how we bring those perspectives from those different communities together better to enable us to protect ourselves and promote and preserve our national security and our economic security and our political security better. So it's an important contribution that AusSec 22 makes to that really big national security agenda. Well, how wonderful to see hundreds of people turning up in droves. There's clearly an appetite for us to be getting back together in person. Again, these conversations they're possible, they're plausible online, but they are so much higher quality and they're so much more meaningful in person. So it's been terrific just to see the fantastic turnout at this event today. And again, so far, the themes have been quite consistent. The need for teaming, the need for working together, a stronger sense of collaboration, and really clearly coming through, which I think is absolutely vital, is a sense of urgency to address some of these challenges and stop admiring the problem, arriving at solutions in a way that can benefit all of those communities. So again, this is not a problem set that lends itself to be solved by government alone, by business alone, or by individual actors or civil society protecting themselves. We need to understand one another better, understand our commonality and where we see common ground and shared problems, and we need to arrive at shared solutions. And this is the way that it happens.